All right, let's jump in to the habit cycle. Robbie, can you drop the 3 phases of the habit cycle for these fine people?
We start off with the trigger. So triggers are really important to identify at the beginning. And second phase is thought. The third component is action. So we got trigger, thought, action.
Action. Look, we almost did that in unison, Robbie. We should practice singing that.
Yeah.
Next time. Trigger, thought, action. So let me walk through each phase and define it for you. Here's what a trigger is. Okay? A trigger is the instantaneous response to an external stimuli. It's just that pow, right? So you're walking down the street, and you see someone on the side of the road. You see a woman, maybe dressed in a certain way. Pow. Instantaneous response, like inside, an internal response to that stimuli. Okay, it just happens lightning fast, lightning fast. And I want to tell you something right now about triggers. Please write this down. Please write this down. Your triggers are biologically hardwired. You need to know that. Your triggers are biologically hardwired. What that means is they are not going away immediately, even over the midterm. Okay? With the work that you're doing here and the work you're doing on your own, you are going to reduce the frequency of your triggers. You are going to reduce the severity of your triggers, but you are not going to make them go away. So whatever model you choose to get well, it must reflect that fact. You don't see aviation engineers bitching about gravity, do you? Right? That's the sun rises in the east, the sun sets in the west. 2 + 2 is 4. To break a habit, you have to make a habit, and your triggers are biologically hardwired. Okay? So I want you to know that because I don't want you to measure your success at the early stages of recovery by the frequency and severity of your triggers. The second phase of the habit cycle is thoughts. So you see the person down the street, or you come home and you're alone and you're about to get on your computer and you start hearing that voice. Watch porn. Watch porn. Go get a prostitute. Get on the chat line. Right? Can you guys connect with that voice? Can you connect with that voice inside your head? Who's saying that? There are 2 kinds of thoughts that I want you to figure out. Number 1, sexual thoughts. I want you to pay very careful attention to your sexual thoughts over the course of the next 7 days. In fact, I want you to bring, at the end of this week, I want you to bring acute awareness, powerful, precise awareness to your triggers, to your thoughts, and to your actions. And I'm going to share that exercise with you in a moment. But I don't want you to just focus on your sexual thoughts. That's what a lot of people do, and that's a mistake. Robbie, what are the other thoughts that these folks need to pay attention to?
The second one that's really important is self-deprecating. Self-deprecating thoughts. They're you know, yeah, I'm a piece of shit. You know, I'm weak. How come I'm going through this? These kind of this inner critic, this critic we have inside that's always tossing judgments, criticisms at us. So those are important to identify also.
And the self-deprecating, thank you, Robbie. Just like Robbie said, this might surprise some of you, but those are more important. Those are more important because in the overwhelming majority of men that we work with, porn addiction, their compulsion, their affliction is a symptom. It's a symptom of mediocrity, malaise, underachievement, root cause issues from childhood, numbing, coping, ways to bury the behavior that's haunting them. Yep. So it's an escape. And so porn is a symptom. And so symptom of what, right? And that voice telling you you're not good enough, that you can't do it, that you won't succeed. So the thoughts, you need to focus on the self-deprecating thoughts. I'm going to show you how to do it. The last phase of the addiction cycle, trigger, thought, and action. And so maybe you'll go into the bedroom, you'll grab your phone, you'll shut the door, you'll open up your computer, you'll flip it open, you'll type, you'll open up the browser, you'll log in, you'll do whatever you got to do. You've taken literally 1,000 steps, right, to get to your pornography. It feels like it's nanoseconds. It feels like it happens so fast, but really it doesn't. So again, what would your life look like if you could slow down that habit cycle and embrace your power of choice? Okay, what would your life look like? What could you do if you could slow it down and take different action and take different action. So again, very, very important. The habit cycle is 3 phases. The addiction cycle, call it whatever you want. Now, everybody defines it a little bit differently. So what I did, just so you know, kind of, wait, would you make this up? Well, number 1, I experienced it because I've been there. I've been where you are. Number 2, Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit. He wrote a great book on the power of habit, and it just contains all the science, talks about triggers being hardwired, and his is cue, routine, reward. Okay, I changed the routine part because it's the thoughts, right? The thoughts. And if we can just connect with those thoughts, so I modified it ever so slightly and still accurately reflects the same cycle, but it's coming at it from a different perspective. Trigger, thought, action. And remember, what did I tell you guys about triggers? Your triggers are biologically hardwired. Your triggers are biologically hardwired. Okay, they're not going away. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it? Okay, the first thing that we're going to do about it is, and here's what I want each of you to do for 7 days. I want you to track. I want you to write down your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions. Write them down. Some guys create a spreadsheet. Some guys write it down in the note function on their phone. Some guys write it on a piece of paper that they keep in their back pocket. Your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions. Triggers, thoughts, you're going to track them. And here's what I need you to do. Around the thoughts, here's what you need to do. You need to be specific. So if you're walking down the street and you see a pretty lady, okay, and you have a thought, I don't want you to write down, I thought she had a nice chest. You didn't see a woman with nice chest. You said, look at those titties. Okay, I want you to use the exact words. And I'm sorry if that's offensive to some people, but hey, you wouldn't be here if this was offending you. I talk pretty blunt, and that's just the way it is. So what exactly did you think? Man, I used to have crazy thoughts when I'd see somebody. I'd see a woman like, oh my God, look at her. How many guys did she fuck? Or what does she look like naked? Or I bet she likes it in the ass. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But that bluntness, Robbie, that I'm having right now with this audience was very important in our work, wasn't it?
It's important to, be aware of, especially at the beginning, the kind of thought patterns that might be floating around, kicking around our heads. I mean, another important thing that we do a little bit later is talking about even non-sexual triggers. I mean, those are really important too. Like, if you lost a job, or if you were rejected by a woman, or if your
wife's pissed off at you.
Yeah, if your wife's pissed off at you, or whatever it might be.
Good. Keep going.
Yeah, those are super important, because I mean, you have some days where, the titties, or whatever it might be, they stand out a little more than other days, and you have to really reflect and take a deep look at what might have happened the day before. It could have been a week before. Something that you thought wasn't a big deal, but actually it was a big deal. It's bothering you more than you expected. So when you're tracking your triggers, drawing those kinds of connections is super important. I have guys that I work with that are like, wow, someone made this comment at work, and next thing you know, I'm thinking about watching porn, later that night. And they don't think about those kinds of connections at the beginning, but they're there. They're just, like Craig is saying, the hardwired nature of these triggers really, it makes you blind to a lot of connections, that are there.
You're in habit land. Thank you, Robbie.
Yeah,
you're in habit land. You are not consciously reacting to external stimuli. You are not aware. You are not embracing the power of now. You're in habit land. So I want you to track your triggers, your thoughts, and your actions for 7 days. Around the thoughts, I'm going to say it again. I'm just going to say it again because I'm a pain in the ass like that. I want you to write down the exact thoughts that you're having, because here's another thing about pornography. It changes us, doesn't it? It's changed you. You're here because it's changed you. You were into one thing, and now you're into something else. You're like, whoa, wait, how did I get here? So you want to bring a powerful awareness to that shameful part about yourself. Okay, the part that you don't feel good about. But listen, you're trying to get better. You want to start living a kick-ass life. You've got to bring that darkness into the light.
Yeah.
Okay, even if you do it just for yourself, I want you to write down your triggers. I want you to write down the thoughts, the exact thoughts that you're having, so you can break free from the compulsive sexual behavior and the compulsive self-deprecating. Okay? And I want you to write down your actions. If you watch porn, listen, I don't want you to watch porn. You're here because you didn't watch porn. Okay? No one's going to die if you did. I want you to use that as an opportunity. Remember, failure equals opportunity. Here's the problem. Hey, I went 3 months, and then you slip. And then you think you're back to square one. Who the hell said that? You're back to square one. You're not back to square one. That's ridiculous. Okay? Everything you've learned is gone. No, you fall down, you get back up. You fall down, you get back up. You get back up strong. Okay? And you figure, okay, wait, why did that happen? Why am I acting in conflict with the man I want to be? How's that happening? What occurred in my life? What was I unaware of? Aha.
And a great metaphor, Craig, is like a river. If you have a river, the longer it runs, the deeper it carves into the earth. And when you're trying to cut a new path, it takes some time at first. The water still wants to flow in that other direction. So it's a process. You want to carve that new path, those new paths in your mind by hacking the habit cycle.
And you can't carve anything.
Yeah.
You can't carve anything.
You're piling on top of it.
You bring awareness, and so you can't create any new pathways. You can't do anything until you become aware. So this is the awareness phase of the mindful habit method, where you're bringing acute awareness to the habit cycle, the place you go, habit land. Every time you act out compulsively, every time you snap at your girlfriend, your spouse, or your significant other, every time you get defensive at work when you're criticized, this is habit-based, by the way. Okay, you use this tool for whatever is plaguing you, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it's partying, whether it's being a jerk, whether it's being mean. Use this. So I want you to track your triggers, your thoughts, self-deprecating and sexual, and actions for 1 week. Okay? And you see how you feel at the end of that 1 week.